Violet on Lucian, the thing that carried them to their only win yesterday. Hoping to do the same here in Game 1.
And it certainly is. It's a chance now for both of these teams, do or die. Do you want to make it to the LCO Grand Finals? Do you want to represent the region abroad? Do you want to showcase to the world what we can do over in Taiwan? Well, you've got to get potentially through 5 games. Antic have had to run through this lower gauntlet run. As for Team Bliss, they've been handed a defeat. Maybe a little bit shell-shocked by that one. But they cannot afford to get stun-locked for too long, because already we're seeing some level 1 plays.
Yeah, Drake, you're going to be walking in mid here. Just going to throw the hook out. Harry with some fancy footwork to dodge it. Will manage to get out here. Doesn't have to burn any suns there. So nice little mechanics. But yeah, already from the bat, you can see how active these teams are getting now. Looking at the runes, we have Bio with the Comet Aatrox. I really like this adaptation. You're never going to be able to proc Conqueror against Zoranus in that 1v1. So instead, favoring a little bit of poke that you're going to get out. As well as the tree actually feels surprisingly nice to take on Aatrox. And then in the bot lane, they have the Cleanse heal for Violet and Scott. So no Ignite. Obviously does limit their offensive potential somewhat. But with all the damage Lucian Nami is able to do, that shouldn't be a problem.
Shouldn't be a problem. And it's an interesting point talking about how strong Violet is. Because as you say, getting the pentakill is simply phenomenal. But the point that stands out for me is that King has really ramped up throughout this playoff point, right? At the moment, he sits on 72 kills over 7 games. The second place is Ryoma at 49. Really is putting in a bit of a 1v9 performance. So we can talk about the star power between both of these teams. There is a lot of it. But bot lane, for me, my major point of focus.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. You can see Swiper as well acknowledging that. Perhaps looking to do an easy 3-camp clear on the bot side. This is something we've seen a lot of the junglers do when they have the losing push in their bot lane, right? They want to take their full clear bot side, make sure they're not getting denied on any invades. And as for the time being, that will mean that the pathing is matched here. You can see Wynot's finishing his Krugs now. As Swiper heads towards his Raptor camp, there will be a little potential for a move here from Sejuani. They do have that ward in the Tri-Brush, but no real knowledge as to what Swiper has done in his jungle. He'll face check here, see the Gromps done, see the Blues done, and really he's just spending a lot of time here for not really much gain.
Not going to be able to find anything apart from a bit of information, knowing where Swiper would have started. And certainly placing a wall to prevent him from sneaking in for a cheeky gank in the mid lane. You can see already the interaction between the Orianna and the Azir, where Ryoma down to 50%, chugging through those potions, and one quite happy to reveal himself. Cross map to keep pace and potentially meet the Maokai at that Scuttler.
Well, that's interesting for me that he just shows on the mid wave here. I mean, they knew where Swiper was, but until that point, Wynot's position was relatively unknown, I guess you could say. And now it really just does dampen his clear speed. You can see down 2 camps already, and the Scuttle Crab spawning in 10 seconds. Really does mean that Swiper should be able to have first move, especially with how pushed in Zoranus is in the top lane. Already has a significant HP advantage. And this is level 4 to level 3. Keep that in mind. No smite for Swiper, rather. So it will just be a little pick up here, but he's going mid. And we'll just find why not.
Yeah, it's not going to find anything there. Scuttler will be picked up by Why Not, and both mid laners are looking at one another, looking to try and go for that fully all-in. First blood flash goes on through. Twisted advance denied. A little bit of delay there by Harry, but not going to get punished by it. But it certainly does mean that life becomes a little bit easier if he pokes his head into mid lane again and reprieves Ram of that pressure, so we can finally get back to base.
That's just a perfect play there from Swiper. You were so happy trading flashes, especially in this mid matchup. Now this is an Orianna who has no flash against an Azir, and we already know how that is likely to go. So Swiper taking advantage of the fact that he has Nimbus Cloak, right? That's why Hayri has to use the Respect Flash, because even though he's far away, that little burst of movement speed does help him catch back up. So Swiper, we've kind of coined him as this Game 1 fanatic. He's looking to keep up the same reputation here.
It seems to always be the case, right? And who can actually become the bigger Titan? Give it Violet a pentakill on this champion, or Swiper setting the tone of how he wants this jungle matchup to work in his favor. It's worth checking in with that top lane as well. As you mentioned before, the Twisted Fate is going to have a bit of a fun time going into the Aatrox rather. But it might be worth checking in also with Ryoma. We had a bit of a joke and say that, you know, ban this champion away from him for good reason too. 8 games played of it. Simply phenomenal statistically, and was certainly up there internationally at one point. Top 3 in the world in many different categories. So expecting an absolute blinder from him. But level 6 not too far away, Max, and that's when things might start to turn up the heat.
And did you see his damage share there? It was 40% across 8 games. 40%. I mean, I know he had that series where he literally averaged 50%, and it's a bit just completely ludicrous to even think of. But yeah, as for now, you do hard at the level 6. This is the wave where mid laners will be ticking that one. But really, Hayri just trading nicely as this wave is pushing in. Ryoma lost a bunch of his health bar even after TPing back. So you can see members of ANC will be brought into the area to create room for Ryoma to shove this in. As here goes the scoop.
Empress Divide, there it is. Ah, but the angle's not perfect, so Swiper looking for the twisted advance, doesn't want to take that one. And Ryoma very low there, not willing to try and flex it in a different direction. So the opportunity passes them by. Why not pokes his head into top lane, even without level 6. It's enough to force Zoranus' Ghost.
He'll force the Ghost out, but the key thing here is that Zoranus is level 6 before he is forced out of lane. That really allows him to have this pseudo TP if he needs to use it to get back. As hold on bot lane.
Bot lane's the action right now. Violet in trouble. Flash! Did in with the auto. You're locked in place. Turn your attention now to Scott. And King's looking for that blade caller. Can they rip back the fifth? Oh my god, he's flashed into the hook! It's a double for Dragku. Sure, it's not the best case scenario, but they are stamping their authority here.
Antic, the battle of the bot lanes, they come out on top there. Every single summoner in that entire lane is used. So we take a look once again. Var just gets a little bit overconfident, dashing in here, tanks all this CC from Dragku, and it's a nice cleanse, but ultimately the kill and the flash is enough to create the distance, and Scott holds his flash for so long here that eventually when he does use it, it's right into the dredge line. And yes, it's 2 kills for Nautilus, but you've shut down this Lucian Nami. Definitely stifling Team Bliss here in the early game.
Really good start for them as Roman is going to meet the wrath of multiple members looking towards this lane, can just simply trim a shuffle to safety. As Scott does get active, which is nice. He's mirroring that of Dragku on the Nautilus and making sure that they will not fall behind from lane to lane. They're expecting that. We saw it obviously be such a prevalent factor, allowing Benvi to roam all over the show and really keep the side of Team Bliss guessing. And then both junglers about to hit 6. One has just picked it up now. The Glacial Prison. Megan is chugging into mid lane. You know that Hayri is posturing aggressively, looking for that shockwave. And it is worth mentioning for Hayri, his playoffs have been pretty phenomenal too. He's got, what, 4 solo kills, the most in this playoff so far. And on a champion like this, with this matchup, you'd expect more.
Yeah, definitely the lane pressure there already. You can see up 14 CS, and now we'll have the first move. Wano has been very eager to kind of just show his face in the mid lane, make sure that the enemy knows that he is there in the area. And that does provide Hayri a bit more freedom to be able to get the push as he would like. You'll see now he'll be spotted by this pink ward here in the bot lane, just hovering once again to allow his bot lane to be able to shove out this wave. But it really isn't a position you'd like to be playing in. The Lucian Nami already having fallen down. Just a plain 2v2 really does hinder your early game plans here. First Dragon obviously went over to Antic as well. And without being able to stack in the bot lane, you're left with slim options. You can see up in the top lane, Zoran is able to just walk into the jungle, place a pink ward completely for free. He owns that top quadrant. As once again, the action will be directed back here. Antic, they're trying to get this wave in. They have Swiper in the area, but why not tier 2?
Yeah, both junglers here. Wano is going to back away while Swiper will just simply recall out of vision. All they wanted was the wave crash, and that is exactly what they'll get. And it's ironic that you bring up the point about the Dragon being picked up, because as far as playoff stats go, this really has been a strength of either team. Bliss have always gone towards those Void Grubs and then the Heralds, whereas Antic have always sacrificed that and been stacking up all the Dragons. So it really is that polar opposite effect here, but both teams playing to their success and finding it quite easily.
Speaking of easily, I mean, look how easily Antic have it up in this top lane. Zoran is here with Swifty Boots completed. This is really the point in the matchup where Biopanther just has such a rough time. TF has complete wave control, even with those Merc Treads. The fact that he can just stun you and run away at about 1,000,000 miles per hour really does make your laning phase a miserable one. And that means that if he wants to break out from this deadlock of having waves shoved into him, he's going to need to bring one not up. That is not where the Sejuani wants to be. She wants to be, as we mentioned, playing around her bot lane. As for the time being, it will be Antic who have control of this top side. Grubs spawning soon. Obviously 3 already in the hands of Team Bliss. Swiper is in the area to look for a potential contest. We haven't really seen the Grubs find the most value, I would say, in previous series. Obviously teams who have them typically like to be able to set up in those side lanes. But with the team comp and team fighting that is on the side of Team Bliss, I'm sure they'd much rather favor a straight front to back.
That they certainly would. Oh, he's going to be hunting for those kills. Exactly what Wynot's going to try and do now. As he jumps in and hits that Glacial Prison and says, Zoranich, you're in a lot of trouble. He burns double summoners and he will get away. Thankfully, as you've already mentioned, the Destiny will get him back to lane unscathed, but losing double summoners now very much does make sure that you can't continue to be as aggressive as you have been into this Aatrox.
And it also opens up this window here to be able to take the Void Grubs here for Wynot. He'll start this first one here. We spotted out by Swiper. But look at the minimap, you can see TP coming in from Ryoma, and Dragku is walking up to potentially defend these. Now, with Smites on the line for either jungler, you have to imagine that it could be a bit of a close affair. But Team Bliss, I think, acknowledging that, okay, we made that our play previously. It was to be able to find the double summoners out of the TF. We don't have the resources. With both the Glacial Prison and the World Ender on cooldown, they're going to give these next 3 over to Antic.
Yeah, not even that, right? You can see that Harry has no Shockwave too, so really if a fight were to occur, they would be down a significant amount of pushing and just in general power. So, gonna concede it, gonna give it cross. So 3 for 3. It's a bit of a nice timer because it does allow Zoranus to utilize that to say, well, there's no pressure for me. I can get even more plate gold as a result. Already up by such a healthy amount in the CS, and he's just managed to basically weave in 2 plates.
Yeah, he's crushing it up here. We'll take the second one, as you said, off the back of it. And this is why this pick is so fantastic into Aatrox. You can see that even with Wynot in the area, committing that ultimate and even landing it, all TF has to do is Ghost and Flash. He's able to basically outrun any single duo with those spells. And it means that the top lane will once again return to this affair of Zoranus shoving in now. As the second dragon spawns, Team Bliss are quite spiked on their bot lane items. You can see that earlier kill has allowed Scott to get towards his Imperial Mandate quicker. And pairing that with Violet Stormrazor, they definitely have a lot of skirmishing power. 3v3 in the bot side. How's this one going to go?
How does this one go? Because Wynot needs another 5 seconds before his ultimate comes out. Is it too little too late? Because Scott's already dead. That item advantage means absolutely nothing here, Max. The locket from Dragku simply shielding all the damage they throw at them and say, you were trying to set up for that dragon? Actually, that one's ours too.
Dragku just curving the hook there. Scott is found and blown up instantly. And really, once you get on top of that Nami, she's nowhere near as threatening as if she's able to just play behind her tanks and empower her Lucian. So 3v3 ends basically as soon as it starts with just the 1 kill going over. And this is the danger of picking something like a Lucian Nami early on. You create the window for this Nautilus to come through. And Dragku already 100% KP. Locket of the Island Solari on board as well. He's looking to keep up his form as one of the premier engaged players in our region.
That he certainly is. You can imagine King must be smiling to himself, knowing that he's still sitting on that noon quiver and thinking, well, we're just winning these fights and I'm lagging behind in the CS, lagging behind in items. But I'm able to actually just, cruise through this lane. It's not a bad situation to find yourself in. They won't get a chance to reset back to base after all of that. And why not sniffing for another game potentially in the mid lane? They will return back to that dragon. And make it a 1-for-1 on that objective.
Yeah, this is good, leveraging the priority of Violet and Scott while Swiper is on that top side of the map. They can kind of gather that through the bit of tracking that they have through the wards in the enemy jungle. And now the next objective will turn into the Rift Herald here. You can see a reset coming out from Dragku, who I would hazard a guess as to the fact that he would want to walk up towards that objective. As for the time being, Zoranus will also get his reset off here if it's not interrupted. Kraken Slay completed here. And really, it's items all across the board here. As we take a look at the gold graph and see that Zoranus, no surprises, both the TF passive and the fact that he's been able to get so much CS and turret plates, propelling him to the top of the leaderboard.
Certainly is, putting him really far up, and definitely the place you want to find Zoranus to kickstart the series. He's shown that he's got a tendency to try and play these quirky champions. Gave us a preview of that, playing a top lane Varus into Cassante. So you certainly would know that the Twisted Fate would be in that wheelhouse, available to be used in a series like this as well. And tip the Kraken Slide to have that matched with King too. Expect to see them look to now group up and be a lot more interested in a subsequent skirmish. You can see that as it stands right now, Zoranus actually deploys to the bot lane with the Destiny still active, and one that's actually going to get jumped upon as he goes for that Glacial Prison. He's dropping lower and lower. The Aqua Prison not going to do too much, but he can jump across the wall to safety. Now Biopanther, isolated from the herd, forced a better flash of his own. And they thought they'd set up a trap, but in fact they're the ones to lose.
Yeah, Wynot was just caught there on that ward, not respecting the vision. Was placed a little bit further up by Antic. And it means he will be forced out of the play. Biopanther as well took a little bit of an odd path, kind of kiting towards the minions as opposed to just going straight down to his turret. and that means that he will lose his flash. This Herald swap is something we've seen so commonly from ANC, right? They're very willing to put their bot lane up towards either top or mid to secure themselves as objective. And with Zoranus clearing in the bot lane, you would have to say it's worked out for them this time.
Certainly would do. Yes, he can take the culling from the Lucian there, but he's not going to really be too upset by that one because you've always got that in the back of your mind that I can reset, I can ult, and I can get myself back into another lane to be an absolute menace and keep pushing you in. So picking up the Herald's a nice acquisition. We said it countless times throughout this playoffs, Max, haven't we, that whenever Swiper has it, he's usually finding 2 towers, or at least 2 charges with it. Let's see if Bliss allowed him that opportunity again.
He's absolutely excelled in terms of macro. This has always been his strength, as the gate will come through here. So is it TP, but Ryoma, he'll be aqua prisoned immediately. Antic here, you can see, defending this bot lane turret. They use the TF ult and Ryoma's TP to make sure it doesn't fall down. And with all the mana expended here on Violet's Lucian, they will be forced back to base eventually. So just the first turret going in favor of Antic off of a nice macro decision to rotate up towards the top side. And now the gold lead just 1500 at this stage. With the scaling of either comp, you really can't say this game is over until you're knocking on the Nexus door. But as for this point, Antic feeling quite nice about how this game is going.
But they certainly are, and I'm sure if they can keep pace with the aggressive early game that Team Blizzard look to try and comprise themselves of, then you're feeling pretty good about their chances of bringing it to a classic late game Antic situation. Worth mentioning for Bio, he's going to go for the Profane Hydra. We've seen obviously a bit of a variation between that and the Sundered Sky, but obviously opting for a little bit more damage with that lethality route. Looking to see what they can find here in the bot lane, but another 90 seconds until that third dragon spawns, so nothing coming of it. Just really establishing control of the river, and also the vision.
Well, that's the key thing here. I think given how both teams have wanted to fight over this bot lane turret, the more wards you can get in this bot side, the better. And I think that now is really the window where Team Blizz should be able to crack this one. You can see they've got 4 members in the area faster. And as for the time being, Ryoma is trapped in that top lane with no TP. The Azir obviously able to shove in, get pushed in that matchup just because of the range disparity. But Biopanther having the TP really means that Ryoma has to respect either moving down first or just keeping him confined in that 1v1 situation. And now 50 seconds on this dragon. This really will be where we could expect some action to occur, as items all across the board are being picked up here. Archangels for Hayri online. He's got it needlessly in his inventory as well. So despite not having been involved in any kills as of yet, this is a very strong Orianna. If he's able to channel a shockwave on top of someone like a Sejuani who's able to get into the fight, you really could be able to blow someone up. Keep in mind the King has no cleanse as well. You'll often see that adaptation come out when there is a Sejuani. That means that if a Sejuani R does land, even if he does have the Feather Storm, there's all the chance that he could be blown up before that's even able to come out.
And it's a good point, because I think it brings us into question then, what's the itemization for Dragku then? Are we looking at like a Knight's Vow? Are we looking to try and rush that Mikhail's Crucible second as a result and really make sure that King can be fairly greedy with his choice to go for the Summoner Heal instead and have all the tools to really continue to be that 1v9 machine that we've seen him do all playoffs along with that. Third Dragon now spawning. It is going to be that classic trade of, well, we'll wrangle back the control of the mid lane. You can pick up that one. We'll summon the Heralds. And we'll look for another turret instead. So that's exactly what they'll get with King jumping in. A whole bunch of those Void Grubs coming out as a result too. It will just simply be that 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, and they summon the Sunders here as well. You can see top lane actually 1v1 going on.
There's a bit of a 1v1 going on, and Zoranus is going to force him back, and he's actually going to burn a Ghost in the process. And by having no flash, there's nothing really much still that he could have found in that situation. Nature's Grasp blocking in place too. Jungle is trading 2 ultimates. A Swiper cops a Shockwave to the face, but they can always disengage away to the Sunders. They don't need to completely give up their freedom here. And they've locked Team Bliss into a bit of position either they're not too comfortable with.
It was a travesty there. The ball was in the middle of 4, but Hayri unfortunately just walked out of range, so he wasn't able to find the Shockwave. Team Bliss will try to settle it by getting the kill onto Swiper. They won't find it, but they will force out his flash there. So no kills really being traded over. We'll have to take a look at what happened in the top lane. I think Bio just kind of found a window to get aggressive on towards Zoranus and force out his Ghost. But for the time being, Antic definitely taking the lead in terms of their control over this mid lane. Herald, the one charge, yes, but obviously the push in the inside track doesn't enable them to get a little bit more control in the area. As here we take a look once again. This is the 1v1. This is completely isolated. They know all 4 members are over. And plain and simple, Zoranus just steps up too quickly into the Q2. And that is really the go signal for BioPanther here. Unfortunately, the TF has so much movement speed once that ghost is popped that it's almost impossible for an Aatrox to catch him. But Bio still doing a good job to defend his turret and remain relevant in the CS department.
And it really does go from bad to worse because Zoranus has now picked up their rapid fire cannons, so he's got even more movement speed and now even more range too, so he can continue to be very oppressive and really stem the amount of pressure that Bio can provide, which was a big factor, I'd have to say, in last night's series. It's not very often you see BioPanther not look too much of a relevant factor, but he was unable to really showcase his class like he's done all season long. And in a situation here where what's he realistically going into a side lane for? Is it the Zir or is it the Twisted Fate? Always going to be forced to take a fair bit of damage.
That's the problem. He doesn't have a winning matchup in the side lanes now, so he will need to look for something in a team fight to get active, and that becomes so hard when you're constantly shoved at your turret. You can see Violet and Scott were potentially looking to ease up some pressure, find a kind of off-tempo pick there to ease up Bio on the side lane, but they won't be able to find anything. And look at the bot lane, Skimmy. This TF is just completely alone, machine gunning through turrets at the time being. And because Hayri has no TP, he doesn't feel confident matching. So just another turret falling in favour of Antic.
3-2 then, and it's good timing because Antic are keeping up pace here with Bliss in terms of those second item spikes. We mentioned it already for Zoranus, but now the rapid fire cannon for Violet is going to be matched by the Navori Quick Blades of Desire. So some massive moments for both of these champions and to really showcase what they're about. The hook goes out, but this time Dragu's unable to curve it onto a champion. Just going to hit a minion, remove that one from the game nice and easily, as they do stand strong to prevent their mid-tier 1 falling down in the process. And with a Baron having spawned already, well, both teams looking to try and bait one another into starting up a fight, or at least finding a pick. Mid lane still is the focus.
Yeah, Glacial Prison out, but it won't find a target. The hook also missing.
Culling going to be used though, and a Shockwave actually dragging back 2 members in that occasion. Out goes that Tidal Wave. Yet they're unable to find the kill they're after. They'll burn a flash, they'll take the summoner heal. They will bully Antic off that mid wave.
How is nobody dead, Skimmy? Once again, cooldowns traded back and forth, but ultimately everybody walks out unharmed. Yes, a flash had to be expended, but you're absolutely not feeling too bad about that if you are the camp of Antic. And for the time being, Team Bliss, you can see they're getting a little bit desperate here, trying to force a play with their Lucian army while they're still in the stronger position. But ultimately, quick reaction out of King from that ultimate. He's able to dodge the Glacial Prison, and that does mean that he will walk away completely unharmed. Bounties across all members of Antic now, as the scaling is starting to come into effect.
So he is, and you've already mentioned it before, right, not having the cleanse as Desire, but the champion is phenomenal at denying all the CC that Team Bliss will be throwing his way. So that Featherstorm, keep an eye on that cooldown. It's going to be of paramount importance to dodging out those plays time and time again and really showcasing that he is the king of the AD carry position. Banshee's Veil then, done by Hayri, going for this very tanky variant of the Orianna. We've seen this time and time again throughout the split, where you have all the shielding and, well, denying of damage that could come your way. As Roman's going to get simply run on down here by Violet, actually going to force out an ultimate of his own just to create some space.
And you can see just how annoying this Lucian is. Not only does he have a Nami to empower him, but he also has the Orianna to give him resistances and that speed bump with dissonance. Now, because of that chunk, they will look towards the Baron here. I would assume this is more of a turn play, and they found Swiper.
But they are certainly looking for the turn play because they know that if they don't force a Baron fight, Zoranus is never going to leave these lanes. He's never going to stop sieging. And I think Antic honestly have done enough to try and keep them interested in this, that it's bought time for him to rotate from bot to mid, and then just siege there instead.
And he absolutely brutalizes these turrets. You can see with just a little bit of time, he's almost completely killed that tier 2. And now this is the problem of Team Bliss. They have to play in this Death Ball style to find value from their comp. But so far, they haven't been able to find anything. Swiper did use his flash there, so perhaps a similar play would result in a different outcome. As he goes, why not?
Yeah, One's going to jump on in. The hook goes out as well as they look to try and lock everybody down in a bit of a wombo combo with Fair. And that's a mega blast cone to knock them back inside that Dragon River. But Zoranus is looking to try and kite them out. One flashing upon his head, looking to try and find that permafrost, but will be denied with the ghost active and the gold card there too. There's not much about to happen. Going to try and turn things around here. It is already Draco that's fallen on down. Still Team Bliss, all 5 members, as they will look towards that 4th Dragon.
Zoranus here is so annoying in these fights, running around too fast for anyone on Team Bliss to catch. but they can certainly catch his gold cards. This time it'll be a red locked in as they're starting the dragon. It's down to 8,000, but BioPanther
seizing the moment, 25 minutes to try and wait for his second kill of this game, and it's going to be rewarded for him. He'll pick up an assist as Violet gets the goal, but King answers back with the Blade Caller, rooting him in place and saying, "You shall not pass." That's exactly what Ryoma does with the Emperor's Divide as they burn the flash, but Violet's been baited. That's not where you want to be. Why not is burning? He's frantically holding on. That Koenig just offering him enough resistance.
This fight's been going on for so long. The Dracu's actually able to come out of base, and Team Bliss, they get the initial pick, but they ultimately aren't able to find the rest of the fight. Zoran is really doing a fantastic job of holding them off there. And you can see once again how this all breaks out. This is kind of the second altercation after Dracu has already respawned. BioPanther having the position onto Swiper, who he knows has no flash. So they're able to find this kill, but look at all the DPS that come through onto BioPanther. This is not a tanky Aatrox by any means. So he just goes down in response, and Violet not able to find the damage onto Ryoma. You can see flashing forward to try to get something, but will just go down as a result. And now Antic, with all the damage off the board, are free to take their second dragon of the game.
And they certainly are to appease them. So no very quick and easy soul point picked up by either side. And it's a very slow-paced game, as we've come to sort of know and expect and really see to start off a series. You know, set the tone, feel one another out, and really understand what is a must-ban and what is really the way to try and approach these team fights, because that really is becoming the name of the game. As it took 26 minutes now for finally them to take down that TL1 as another opportunity to try and get out King is denied. This Featherstorm really finding infinite value.
So what's huge here though is they force out the Featherstorm without using the Sejuani ult. They might still have that and want to use it here. But Swiper is a very tanky champion. Now with no cleanse, no Featherstorm and no flash, this is the most vulnerable you'll ever see King in a game. If there's a moment to find him, it's right now. But you can see the way that Antic are posturing on mid lane. They're bringing Dracu and Swiper on every single wave to bodyguard and kind of just act as that meat shield. So one is unable to find the engage that he's looking for. And now as this game begins to kind of standardize out for a little bit. 4,000 is the gold lead for Antic. These side lanes really continue to be the problem for Team Bliss.
Yeah.
As Zoranus has based, picked up the Storm Razor now. 3 items on this TF. He's only got 2 assists, but certainly his value is way more than that.
I'd love to actually know if we could bring up the total gold graph again, just to sort of see where all that gold is placed, because as you already mentioned, be it that much in favor of Antic, surely the lion's share would still be in favor for Zoranus. As you can see, a full 1,000 over King, which has been farming exceptionally, making pace with Violet not too far behind him. But you can see a bit of a major divide and not the best space really for BioPanther to be in, right? He knows that he's so far behind this Twisted Fate that really it's going to be sending Harry to try and respond, but he wants to be grouped up with the team to find those meaty shockwaves.
Yeah, you can never really actually kill this TF now unless you commit significant resources, and if you do that, you always open up the option for a Baron. Now, Antic actually going to bring Ryoma down here towards the bot lane. It has been a 1v1 for so long, the BioPanther might just be able to get caught out here.
Gold card locked in. Spell Shield's going to deny it. Edge of Night is fantastic, and then the flash away just to make sure no funny business occurs. He just had to wait a few more seconds as the rest of his team was sprinting towards the bot lane, but they're getting run around the map ragged here, Max. I mean, they're so frustrated by this Twisted Fate, and they're like, well, how do we draw in Antic to force a fight so we can actually use what our comp is built to do?
Yeah, one of the best things to do would be able to start Baron, but right now there's just too much side lane pressure that, like you said, they are really just being taken on a joyride. As we actually look back in the bot lane, it is once again Ryoma who's hovering, but King's been caught.
King has been caught, and that culling was enough to force a trade between both AD carries, and that's exactly what Wynot is always looking for. Oh no, BioPanther's being called out, the trap was set, and Ryoma's flourished as a result of that one. And then straight away, Wynot on vision says, well, let's just start up the Baron.
They have to do this now. They know this is a bit of desperation. If they don't start this, they will just get split pushed to death. But there's still a full HP Ryoma. He's TPing in now.
He's
They
TPing
might
now.
just be able to deny the Baron skimming.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ult chucked out. It's denying the resets. The Swiper says, well, we are going to force this fight. We are going to go for this kill. And we are going to commit Zoranus and the members as well. Gold card across the wall. Violet hits the claims. Look at the damage from this ADTF. He weaved in, what, 3-4 autos? The Kraken Slayer came into effect. And Violet says, get me the hell out of here.
It was a desperate Baron. Antic know that they smell blood in the water, and they will absolutely manage to chase them off. Now, Harry's still looking in the area. No shockwave, and he just might go down.
Certainly would do. It's going to be Baron going in favour here for the side of Antic as Bio TP's in. Instantly, the Edge of Night gets procced again. As he looks to get zoned away. King hanging on for dear life. He has no flash, no heal, no ult, no chance to survive. His Draco acts as that meat shield. The hook is good, but they've still got vision. So Violet picks them up. His second of the game. Been a rough one here for the Lucian. Didn't pop off in the laning phase and has struggled to find his foothold in the mid game. But it's at least one Baron buff taken off.
And they were so close to killing King as well there. He had to flash out at the end of that play. But here we go again. You can see what didn't work once will certainly work this time. There's no Edge of Night to be able to block this CC coming through. And there's more than enough DPS to take him out here. So off the back of that, they acknowledged that, okay, if we keep up just walking around on mid lane, they're going to be able to crack our base through the bot lane. That starts this initial play, and Draku, look, you can see the carries are a little bit separated. Pings are coming in onto mid lane for Antic, but Swiper, he pulls the trigger, finds Why Not here, and all of Team Bliss are zoned. You can see Zoranus, like you mentioned, the ADTF doing so much damage, almost one-shotting Violet there, and that buys enough room to get the Baron. So now it's 6,000 gold in favor of Antic. Once again, looking to cook up a little bit of a side lane play here.
But they certainly are. It's a pretty healthy lead, Max. It's a very comfortable position for Antic to find themselves in, and really hasn't been shut down. An answer hasn't been provided. And for that extent, you can feel very confident about your ability to use this Baron buff to good success. Currently, they're hovering around, actually not playing towards any lane, more so denying the jungle that Team Bliss could look to take for themselves.
And that's only going to further this gap in economy that we're seeing right now. I mean, the 80 carry pools are fairly decent in terms of items. Lucian be able to be on 3 himself, and so will Ryoma. But as you look at the top lane, it's really where things start to go from bad to worse. 4 complete items here for Zoranus, compared to the 2.5 that Biopanther is working with currently. So if side lanes weren't a problem already, you've got a Baron buff TF who's able to be level 18 and shove in those waves. And now Bliss, if they didn't feel pressure to start a fight, they certainly do at the moment. You can see so much going to come down to Why Not. He really is their only engage, but all game long, Antic have been so good at stifling it.
They certainly have, and he's found it to be a pretty frustrating game state to revolve around, right? You can see he's peeking his head into lanes all the time, but he says, well, what can we get from this one? Unfortunately, it's not really worked in their favor. No chance for them to use it as a shockwave delivery system either. But will they ever get that invitation to shut this Twisted Fate down? I don't have flanking walls for them to TP upon. And Biopanther certainly isn't strong enough to try and threaten if he was to hit him from that wrong angle instead. It does feel like, you know, Antic are slowly setting the pieces in motion that checkmate is coming.
But what's interesting is they're actually not really grouping on many of these waves, kind of just adopting this 1-3-1 approach and not committing to break any turrets. So it will be Baron obviously going over, but only a 2,000 gold advantage yielded from that buff. Not able to really make a significant dent in the base of Team Bliss. As we check back in with the gold, Zoranus just continues to propel ahead here. 15,000, 2,000 gold ahead of King, who is already in his own right ridiculously fed. And you can see so much DPS coming out here from Antic. You take any form of extended fight, they will simply just beat you. And so it's going to come down to Bliss to find these snap engages, find a good shockwave, find a nice Aatrox flank, or else you simply will be outbeaten, out-DPS'd in these extended altercations.
Well, no doubt that's what it's going to come down to, right? Finding that one play, much like a Blitzcrank, you're always hoping for that one decisive hook. The same could be said, no doubt, here for Why Not and the rest of their team. That one good shockwave, that one fantastic lockdown, that one window in which somebody like King has no ultimate to immune it all. As they keep hovering between different parts of the map, looking to see what they can find. Oh no, the Glacial Prison completely airballs. We've waited all this time for that. That's not what you're hoping for. So Swiper answers back with an ultimate of his own. Draku jumps in, hits the wall. That's not what he wanted either. 2 men locked in place by the Nature's Grasp. The Culling goes out to try and zone them back, but Why Not is low and Line is burning. And Bio is flashing to safety. But Zoranus is a 1v9 machine. He says, you will not escape me. I will shred you down like the turrets I've been taking.
He will absolutely find his man there. His counterpart Biopanther taken out. Zoranus on this TF sprinting through team fights and sprinting through this game in general. Now Antic with that kill onto the top laner of Bliss. 40 seconds is the death timer. Now is when they can really start to open up this base.
This Twisted Fate is a problem, Max. It is a must-ban, it feels like already. And it's only game 1. As they have not found any way to shut this down from the very get-go. Their best chance really was when they burnt double summoners, but that's about it.
Yeah, you can see Why Not crucially missing the ult there. Enables this counter engage to come out from Antic. Now, it's not clean by any means. Draku missing the hook, But look at Zoran as procs the Banshees with an ultimate to land the stun card onto Hayri, taking him out of commission for a little bit. And then off the back end, I mean, look how fast he's running around this fight. Look how fast he kills Bio. Just an absolute rocket. 35 minutes in, 40 seconds on Soul. But I don't imagine Team Bliss would be looking to make a stand here. Perhaps they do. Perhaps it is their real last moment here as LDR's picked up with Violet. But with all the summoners to work with, besides that of the TF, we could be coming to a precipice here.
We certainly could. With double objectives synced up quite nicely, it does become a bit of a guessing game as to what becomes the priority. As we all know, Team Bliss would absolutely love to go for that Chemtech Salt. Would give them everything they need to really stand their ground and potentially weather the storm that is this AD Twisted Fate. But the Baron, putting in 10 seconds thereafter, you lose one, you lose both, you'll lose the game as a result.
Yeah, I think just the second the ace comes through at all as the culling.
Wow. A lot of damage.
Yeah.
A lot of damage.
He's really chunked, but he has the Bloodthirster as well, so if he's able to get a bit of uptime here, he will be able to heal it back up. And then the Soul just going over to Team Bliss as a result of that chunk. Now, can they get there in time for the Baron? TP's going to be expended on the top wave. A bit of a pincer coming out, but ANC, they're starting it up.
They are starting it up, and the Vision will reveal it, and Bio's going to try and conceal his positioning for as long as possible. Or, you know what? Scrap that, just jump in and try and go for the kill. King is the focus. He flashes, he dashes, and he lives to tell the tale. They've got the Baron buff, they've got the DPS, and they've got the positioning with Rome scooping him back inside and saying, I'm not finished with you yet. It's only Harry and Scott that can live to tell the tale of how this fight has been so disastrous for them. And with their destiny, it's easy for Ryoma to run you down.
You take the Soul, but will take the game. Antic with a fantastic fight off the back of that Baron. And Hayri is the lone survivor for Team Bliss. Can he clear the waves here? He's against the Baron, and he doesn't have the shockwave up. Antic, they're marching in the base. They've got their eyes set on a 1-0 lead.
They already feel like it's the perfect start for them. You mentioned Swiper in the game one. Maybe not the strongest performance of him individually, but it's exactly what they want in terms of really establishing control here and not allowing Bliss to really settle their nerves, calm those emotions, or bounce back at all from that defeat last night. It is the delayed ace, but at 37 minutes, Antic take the W.
Pressure creating diamonds